All right, so these are the first two practice problems, practice real-world problems that we did in class. So, for these, it says, how long is the wire that supports the tree? How do you know and how can you prove it? So, as you can see, the wire that's holding this tree is C. That's the wire that we're trying to figure out how long it is. So I know that my formula for Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I know that this is C, so I'm missing C. And I'm going to label this one as my A and this one as my B. You could do either or, but make sure that one of them is A and one of them is B, and definitely not C. So my A is 5.6 squared plus my B, which is 3.3 squared, equals, I don't know what my C is, so all I'm going to do is just bring it straight down, C squared. Okay, for your project, and anytime you're dealing with word problems, make sure that you know that this doesn't mean 5.6 times 2. It means 5.6 times 5.6. Make sure you write out the math off to the side and let's see if you get the same answer. For 5.6 times 5.6, you should have gotten 31.36. Now, do 3.3 times 3.3. Pause the video and try it yourself. So 3.3 squared is going to be 10.89. Equals, did I do anything to C yet? Nope. So all I'm going to do is bring it down as is. Now, we need to add our A and our B squared answers. So 31.36 plus 10.89. Let's see what it gives me. So I get 42.25 equals my C squared. Now remember, the opposite of a number squared is a square root. So since I have C squared, to do the inverse operation of it, I'm going to square root both sides. Now remember, we're not dividing 4.2.25 by 2. We're figuring out what number times itself is going to give me 42.25. So for this example, I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to type 42.25 squared, and it's going to give me 6.5. So that means 6.5 times itself should give me 42.25. And I'll prove it to you. Yep, that's what I have here. So now my C is 6.5 feet. Because remember, we're dealing with feet here. Okay, so now my C is 6.5 feet. That's what my C is. So this is how you proved it. And how can you explain it? Say the wire that supports the tree is 6.5 feet long. That's how you describe it in words. So let's go over the second example from today. All right, here's the second problem we went over today in class. It says the figure shows the location of a golf ball after a tee shot. How many feet from the hole is the ball? So, as you can see, here's the tee. That's where they kicked off. There is a dashed line here, which you can't really see. So I'm going to make it a little bit darker so you can see. It says that dashed line is 180 yards. Okay? That's what this says right here. That line is 180 yards. So this little diagram right here is a zoomed in version of from here to here, which says X. So we don't necessarily know what that side is. So I'm going to leave it as X because I don't know what that number is, because that's what we're finding, how far the ball is from the hole. So now I can make a triangle, and I'm going to connect the hole from the T and draw a line. As you can see, hole 13, par 3, is 181 yards. So this line right here that I drew in green is 181 yards. So I like to redraw my triangle so I can see what number what letter am I actually missing. You could also turn it around and see that I have my right angle here, and across from that is always my C. So I know my C is 181 yards. Then that means that this side right here is 180 yards. Therefore, this X right here says that's what I'm missing. So my formula is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I know that this is going to be my A. Right here is my B. And this is my C. So I'm actually missing my B. So my A is 180 yards squared. Plus, I don't know what my B is, this side right here, equals, and I know what my C is, 181 yards squared. So in order to show your work and get points, now you're going to have to figure out what 180 is times 180, as well as 181 times 181, because these numbers are squared. So take a second, pause the video, and solve for both. Figure out what 180 squared and 181 squared is. All right, so when you multiply those, you should have got, for 180 times itself, you should have got 32,400. Leave the B alone, so bring it straight down. And 181, you should have gotten 32,761. So now I need to get B by itself. I need to solve for B. I need to take the square root of both sides, but this 32,000 needs to go away. So I draw my line. I'm going to get rid of this 32,400 by subtracting it to both sides in order for these to cancel out on the left. So now I'm left with B squared equals 361. Now you can take the square root of both sides. B is by itself, and on the other side, it's just one number. Take the square root to undo the squared. I'm left with B equals. Now for this one, if you know what 15 times itself is, because remember, there needs to be a number multiplied by itself to equal 361. 15 squared is 225. Off the top of my head, I know that. I know that 20 times itself is 400. So I know that it's going to be pretty darn close to 20. So what I'm going to do is process of elimination. I'm going to multiply 19 times 19. Do that off to the side. I did 19 times 19, and you should have got 361. So this means the square root of 361 is 19 yards. Because remember, we're dealing with yards here as my measurement. So you can say, how many feet from the hole is the ball? The ball is 19 yards from the hole. Okay, now that you have practiced both of these two, if you would like to watch the other videos, you feel free to, but now you can start your Pythagorean Theorem project on Summit.